All right, what's up, everybody? I'm going to be your host, I guess, moderator for today. So, just to cap this off, what we're looking at today, we call the path, and we're going to be working and talking about organization, implementation, and execution. So, we got a panel of speakers. I want to thank the panel for showing up. You know, Liz Jones, Sherry Kotvis, Liz Jones from KW, Sherry Kotvis, EXP Realty. Appreciate you coming out. Cale Thomas, Elite Properties Direct. I'll see here on my screen, but I imagine he's on here. And Jarrod, I see Jarrod. There he is. Yeah, Jarrod Whitehorn from Whitehorn Realty. Appreciate you guys, showing up and being willing to take away some of your time and be with us. So just real quick, also to let you know who brings this all together for you guys. I want to start with the Real Estate Temecula Valley Power Team. Hey, there we go. It's a screen share. That makes it easy on me. So I'm going to start from the top of my list here. Our fearless leader, Marianne Sharp from Lawyer's Title. Appreciate everything she does, and she really is a spearhead for all this. And next up, our ball of sunshine, Lisa Wayman from Corner Escrow, and Tiffany Cross, Dedicated Credit Repair. Celeste Ducharme from Ranch RV Self Storage, Bill Provost, Franklin Loan Center. Scott Peterson, Home Perfect Tile, Carpet, and Restoration. John Ruff, Rough and Ready Moving. And Garen Parker, New Seasons, Property Management. Lloyd Mize, Coldwell Banker. And Matthew Smith from Trust Home Inspections. And me, your moderator today, Richie from Richie's Termite and Pest Service. All right, Liz Jones, we're going to have you first. Liz Jones from Liz Jones Realty Group, Keller Williams, licensed since 2013. So, the theme of our panel, Liz, is organization, implementation, and execution, as I mentioned. So, how do you apply any of those tactics to your business, and how has it changed in the last month?
Well, I had to get really purposeful, but it started back in 18. And so it's no different now. So one of the first things that I did was work on my database. And I guess the average agent really does what I did. I loaded thousands of contacts into my phone, which nobody could help me but me. So I had vendors mixed in with agents, with leads. It was just a mess. And so back in 1819, I purposely set out to pick a CRM, classify quality of the data, organize and tag all the data, and that made a huge difference of how I'm able to communicate with people and how I'm allowed to have others help me. I also, in 2019, reined in all of my expenses. So, really and truly, that's more important now than ever before. And like many of the agents, there's so much available. And of course, in a growth model, we want to keep expanding. So a new great fun something comes along. And the next thing you know, we're signed up for a year. And we have no time to track it because we're chasing leads. I was right there with everyone else. So I made that conscious decision to start tracking, understanding, and as a result, changed the model of my business in 2019. Focused on personal expenses, focused on business expenses, the return on investment, and that made a huge, huge difference in where I am and the confidence I have to roll through what we're going through today. Implementation, that was also a major thing for me. Beginning in 2019, I joined forces with a national coaching company called Core. And what attracted me to that organization were the caliber of the professionals, the outstanding way they serve their clients, the consistency of their character. And we actually have a very high level of accountability. And we use an old school sales method. And this implementation is part of my daily routine and occupies 5 to 7 days a week for me. They are how many face-to-face I get in front of, breaking breads, the number of calls and talk-tos, videos and note cards, events, random gifts and donations, serving people at the highest level. And we track every single thing. And so I can look back at where I was, how much I was doing, what my volume was, what the results are now. And again, how it's affected with today is pretty much just multiplying that. So I think it was Jim Rohn that talked about how he had been new at a sales organization And he had the folks that were sitting around and they made 100 calls a week and they knew that they were going to get 10 talk tos. It ends up that Jim knew he could beat them in a contest. All he had to do is increase the number of calls and volume that he made. So in this sense, that's what we're doing during these times. We're just increasing everything. We're getting more visibility and becoming more visible to all of our people in our database.
That's great, Liz. So when you say more visibility and more just kind of bringing more to your database, what are some things that you're doing, like just right now, like something right off the top of your head you can give to us?
So every one of my sphere receives 2 contacts from me every month. They're written and they're mailed. They're old school. So they get a letter of the heart and they get an evidence of success every single month. Each one of them get 2 emails, newsletters every month. They're invited to a coffee connection every day. We do text to inform them about upcoming events. So there will be links and videos. We do a market update every single week with video. We are including them in any kind of new listing that we launch. And of course, there are note cards that we send out to them. Yesterday, I did 24 Mother's Day cards just to the first portion of my database. So they're constantly being notified, whether or not it's through call, for text, for email, for old school methods. And so we are staying in front of our database probably 6 to 7 times a month.
And a lot of this, is this something you do with your own hands, or are some of these things you're getting help from outside vendors?
A little bit of both. As far as, the note cards are all me. Occasionally I'll have someone address those note cards, but they're all me. Of course, we need help from folks to do our mailing and our farm mailing postcards, and sometimes our database, and those mailings each month, I'll go ahead and have somebody do that. But the phone calls are me. The note cards are me. The email, I've got a marketing guy, and he does a lot of the connections on the back end. So he'll do all our social media posting. He'll do all our photography. He does anything that requires getting in front of people.
Beautiful. Just a real sweet personal touch on all that. The next thing we'd like to know is, like, what is like the one like nugget or thing that you've just kind of embraced or taken away the last month? Maybe something that's really helped you pivot, or you just saw that, hey, I got to make this shift in this last 30 days.
That's a great question. I think that for about 2 years, I was hearing that there's a shift that's going on in the real estate market, where the real estate agent fits into this sequence of how they help their customers. And what I found is that catalyst arrived. And so we've always been, there's always been a little bit of an edge for somebody who understands marketing, does photography at a high level, has video as part of their tools, knows social media. There's always been a little bit of an edge, and we've seen all those people really excel. But now more than ever, we've taken a new shift. So more than ever, we need to be an advisor for our clients, because they now are accustomed to using virtual and 3D tours to buy homes. We're no longer the resource. So Zillow and Redfin, they brought in the search capabilities online. So customers are bringing me their favorite opportunities. And, I'd love to bring them all those properties, but that's not the case. When I have 50 clients, I've got to search for. So they're bringing those to me. And now I'm able to share with them a virtual tour or a 3D tour, which then narrows how many homes they really want to see at the end of the day. So my role takes on a part of being an advisor more than anything else. Extraordinary customer service. Our team takes on transaction management, which it's always been. So I think we've moved the dial on, number one, our bare minimums for how we advertise a home. And number two, where we are positioned as real estate agents in that whole transaction scenario.
Interesting. Yeah. So I heard you kind of say is like, so the clients, the buyers, sellers are kind of, the buyers are bringing properties to you, and you're advising them on, hey, let's check this out. Let me get you a tour report and all that stuff. Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I want to thank you for your time, Liz. Unless you got anything else to share, we've got a few minutes left here on your time block.
No, I'm great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Liz. And again, it's Liz Jones from Liz Jones Realty Group, Keller Williams. I also want to let everybody know I didn't mention we're going to be, if you have a question or something, when we get done with our panelists here, you can go ahead and you can put that in the chat box, and Mary Ann and or Lisa Wayman will be checking those out and making sure we get those questions. Liz Jones, again, thank you so much. I've had a few people here in the chat box say you are the queen of follow up here and just a few other things. So we really appreciate you and your knowledge.
Thank you. Thanks, Richie.
You're welcome. All right, Elite Properties Direct, Cale Thomas, and he's been licensed since 1998. Cale Thomas is a stand-up dude in this industry. So same question, Cale, here is organization, implementation, and execution. And with those tactics, how are you applying those to your business? And what has changed for you this last 30 days?
Well, hey, first of all, I just want to thank this group for putting events like this on. I think this is awesome and so timely and so needed right now. I so hearing Liz speak is like, wow, I relate so much to everything she's saying. So I'm what you call a level 1 core student. So I am studying the same body of work that Liz is. So I won't just echo, I won't repeat everything she said because she is spot on. I think, part of the thing I wanted to talk about this morning is getting clear on your database and thinning it out, which she did a great job of really illustrating how our database just had everyone in there. But you need to get really crystal clear on, for example, who's your top 25 to top 50 people. These are clients that you've closed or done business with that you would just naturally hang out with anyways. Like if you were to take a vacation, you would pull in one of these 25 or 50 people anyways. And I'll talk a little bit about that towards the end, but so to go in a completely different direction, and just to say, Liz did a phenomenal job. Thank you, Liz, for everything you added. But to go in a little bit different direction, I think Zooming, what we're doing right now, like Zooming is going to be a verb from this point forward. It's like Kleenex, let's Zoom. So I think every agent, I know we're always bombarded with technology, but I say do yourself a favor, sign up for Zoom. It's like $14.99 a month. Get the pro version. That way you can host meetings and not worry about being kicked off. Your people can dial in with the telephone if they can't make it on Zoom. But I think this is something for us to embrace because much like Liz had mentioned, I think this is a tool for us now moving forward, even in a non-COVID world. Let's just say 2 years down the road, if someone brings to you 10 properties and they're like, we want to see all 10 of these, I think you line up a Zoom meeting with them and go through those 10 properties, and you can probably weed out 6 or 7 before you go out in the street. So I just think it's a great time-saving tool. I think this is, it's adding the video element to the audio element, and it's something that we as realtors really need to be on top of. Also, with that said, I invite you to kind of check out your system. Like, do you have an external microphone that you're plugging into your laptop to maybe give you a little bit better sound? Do you have some sort of lighting? For example, are you facing a light source like a window, or do you have a window behind you so when you're on Zoom, you're completely blacked out? Like, work out all those little bugs, and I think it'll just give you a bit of an advantage when you're using this tool, because now we're going to kind of become the liaison to Zoom since we're all using it. Some of our customers have never used it, and it's up to us to kind of walk them through that. So I just invite you guys to really dive into the technology, because this is a tool that we can use now to be more effective and use our time wisely, and at the same time give great value to our clients. So going back to kind of the day-to-day things to do, Liz had mentioned, and this all began for her in 2018, and the same is true for me. And so what I started doing was thinning out the database, getting really clear on who I wanted to do business with again, because we all have clients in the database that we closed, and it's like, I know we closed them and they're a past client, but man, I really had a rough transaction with them. And those aren't the people that you want to put in your top 25 or top 50. But the people you put in your top 25 or top 50 is like, when they call you, you're excited to call them back, or you're excited to take the call. Get clear on who those people are. And then, like Liz said, now this is your new, I kind of treat it like a farm. I take all of those past clients, I'm mailing them what they call a letter of the heart, a letter about me, my family, a book I read, something interesting that happened. I'm mailing them a letter every month. And then I'm mailing them a birthday card. Every one of them I got birthdays on, and I'm mailing them a birthday card with a $25 Amazon gift card. And I have gotten so many inbound calls from that. I mean, a ridiculous amount of inbound calls. And if you think about it, if you run out and pay Zillow thousands of dollars a month for leads, you know, I'm maybe investing, I don't know, $300 to $400 a month in Amazon cards at this point, but the return on my investment is just so much greater. So the other thing I want to piggyback into that is just deeply connecting with the database right now is actually easier, in my opinion, than it was 2 or 3 months ago, because we're in a situation where people are craving connection with other human beings. So we're seeing more people on Zoom meetings. We're seeing people answer the phone. Once you get clear on who your top 25 or 50 people are, it is so easy to connect with them right now. I mean, people I'm leaving voicemails for are calling me back, and anyone I'm texting is responding. So we're in a unique position where by nature, we have to be good communicators because we do everything with our language. It's either written language or the language that we speak. And so since we are, in theory, professionals with our language, it's up to us to make those connections, to make those reach outs to our clients. And they're craving it. Like, they need us to call them right now. It's such an awesome thing for a salesperson to be in a position where people actually really want to take your call. So I think just consider that moving forward. But the key is really get clear on, you know, if there's one takeaway that I can give, just get clear on who your top 25 to 50 people are. Make that list today, name, email, phone number, and just start reaching out to them. And you can be systematic like Liz is, or like I am, in splitting that up and saying, all right, I'm calling each of these people once a month or once every 2 weeks. And then I'm going to divide the number of weeks by how many people I have. And that's how many calls I'm going to make this week. But just setting those little goals, I think, will make a huge, huge difference. And people are still raising their hand to me to this day. Hey, we're thinking about selling. Hey, we really want to buy. I'm staying busy during this time, but it wasn't because of anything I did like last month. It's because of what I did with my business last year. And I've done it for about a year at this point. So I think one other quick tip, Richie, how much time do I have?
You got about 6, a little over 6 minutes.
Okay, cool. So I think there's going to be a thinning of the herd. I think we can all agree about that, right? Like, there are going to be realtors that leave the business because of COVID-19 in this situation. So then the question becomes, how do we as professionals in this business take advantage of that? Well, one idea I think is call those old clients that left you for another realtor. We all have them. Like, you closed a client in the past and then they went and sold their house with somebody else. That might be a good list to look at, because maybe they just went with someone else in the moment. Nothing personal against you, except maybe we weren't following up enough with those folks. I had a lot of that happen prior to me getting really connected with my database. Now I have less of that happening. But that's an area where we can look, because maybe that realtor is no longer in the business, or has lost touch, or is running scared and is not reaching out to their clients. So that may be someone else that you could try to connect with. But in general, guys, just to recap, you know, really take a look at your setup, your technical setup, as far as getting on a Zoom meeting. Really, 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 I invite you to make that start with the top 25 if you don't have top 50, or start with the top 10 is better than nothing. But get clear on who really are those great clients that you have that you love hanging out with, and the people that refer you. And then start being purposeful about doing something very special for them. I think, again, everyone is craving connection right now. So any way that you can reach out to your database, I think, is a value add. And it's just going to really deepen that relationship that you have with that person. So there's no better rapport building time than now, I say. And is it anything specific? you might have a question about, Richie, or that you want me to
Yeah, well,
address?
what I'm hearing is I just want to kind of clarify a couple of things because I think what you're hearing is like when you're talking about your database and going through that, you're talking about like finding people that are like you, right? Because we like to hang out with people that are like us, and so as we identify those people, kind of clearing up your database, like you said, and then really connecting with them is going to be more from the heart, right? Because it's something you just live because you enjoy, like you said, you made a good point. You enjoy being with them and are people you would vacation with. So it makes it super easy to reach out to them, right? Is that kind of what you're stabbing out there?
Absolutely. And I'm sure Liz can attest to this because I'm always constantly updating and tweaking my top 50 list because and here's how I know when the list isn't right. When I'm going to make my calls and I just don't want to call out, or I feel extra nervous, then it's kind of like, wait a minute, why don't I want to call this guy? Oh, well, he's probably really not one of my top 25s. I'm doing myself a disservice by having him on that list. And I find if I really look through my contacts, there's someone else in there that I really enjoy hanging out with, and I replace that person. So it makes your follow-up easier. It makes everything you do so much easier. And we as humans, I don't know about you guys, but I always try to make my life way harder than it should be.
Nah, never.
So simplifying that is going to make you so powerful. Like when I hear Liz talk, I hear that she's powerfully moving through what she needs to do. And to get there, I think we need to get really clear on who we're working with and why we're working with them. And so often we just jump into stuff with the hope that it's going to make our business better. And it's really just a drag on our performance. And so we need to get rid of all that stuff and get crystal clear on who we want to contact with and have a very simple plan for following up with those people. And make it easy. Make it people that you like.
I love it, man. So a couple minutes left here. What like just quick, if you might have already mentioned it, but if there's just something that's sticking out that you'd still like to grab and share with the group, what's a nugget that's just over this last month that's really kind of helped you pivot or maintain your momentum?
Honestly, like I love the birthday cards, and it sounds so basic, and we all know we should be sending birthday cards, but I send birthday cards with a little gift. I get so much response off that. And so what do I mean by that? I get inbound messages. Like, wouldn't it be awesome to have your clients just calling you on an inbound basis? Well, this is a way to do it. And I know it seems like really birthday cards, but no, really, like a birthday card with a gift in there. I have so many people that just say, "That's so awesome you sent me a gift." I mean, think of yourself, like how many birthday cards with gifts do you get in the mail? Not that many. So, or maybe you don't get any. I really don't get any. And when you get something like that, it's so very special. And that is just one thing that I think has been so powerful for me. Truth be told, I hired an assistant to make me consistent on these things because I think Bill Provost coined the term pay for consistency. If that's fair to say, but I pay an assistant to keep me on track with all my birthday cards, organize and send out my letter of the heart, but be consistent on getting these things done and I hired her last year to do these things. It's made a world of difference because I think of it like this, like Liz is not going to go out of business because of this, but 40-something% of the Redfin agents have already been furloughed.
Wow.
Think of it that way. Redfin is the king of technology, and they're furloughing people like crazy. Liz is thriving.
Here we go.
That's an advantage we have with a personal relationship.
Yeah. Appreciate that, Cale. Like I said, always a stand-up guy, man. Really appreciate you. And thank you. Thank you for your time.
You got it. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. All right. Next up, we got Jarrod Kotvis from eXp Realty. Jarrod, where are you at? Why don't you unmute yourself and say hi so we make sure we hear you.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. All right, Jarrod. Well, eXp Realty. Jarrod's been licensed since 2006, and Jarrod, I think I've known you since then too, right?
Almost day one.
We go way back. All right, cool. Well, hey, Jarrod, same deal here. We're looking at for your position, your perspective on organization, implementation, and execution, and so. What are the tactics you're using? Like, where are you going with this? And in the last month, what's it look like for Jarrod Kotvis and you at eXp Realty?
Sure. Okay, well, first of all, I'm really honored to be here. Thank you so much for being a part of the panel. I can't express enough to you how much I appreciate the platform. I've put a lot of thought into this. I've been in business for several years now, and I really wanted to bring something new and different and fresh to the table. I love what Liz is saying, and I love what Cale is saying, and I can totally relate to all of those processes that they have put into place. I've done those things, you know, kind of sporadically on and off throughout the years, tried different things. But what I wanted to do was kind of get down to the really, really basics. And in terms of organization, especially in these times, lots of people are living with fear and they're living in isolation. So I think your basics, your very basics and to the core, is wrapping your head around what's happening. What is your mindset in order to get organized? So I recap this with Ron and myself all the time. What is it that we are grateful for? What is our true mindset moving forward in these unprecedented times? So what we like to do is we like to start every day with affirmations. We talk about what we're grateful for, what we have in our life that others don't. We're very, very fortunate to be with already a technology-driven company. So a lot of the things that we have been doing since 2017, since we joined our technology company, hold true today. The only difference for us is that we are adding to what we're already doing. And I'll get into that a little bit more later. But we all have to find our passion. What makes us tick? You know, what we bring in is a direct reflection of what we put out. So our input equals our output. So what I mean by that is, what are we bringing in every day into our lives to continue through this pandemic that we're going through? Are we bringing in negativity? Are we bringing in the bad news? Are we watching the news 3 times a day to find out what's happening around the world, around the country, all of the deaths, all of the destruction? It's just awful. And it's so easy to get ourselves wrapped up into that. So we have really made a conscious decision just to turn on the news 1 time a day to get the facts, to find out what's happening so that we can stay healthy, stay safe, and protect our clients. And so that's what we have been focusing on. And so we've also been, of course, doing our positive affirmations. You know, we like to read books and follow gurus and go on YouTube and Tony Robbins and all of these wonderful influencers. So that to me is the very, very basics of organization, is getting your head wrapped around the environment that we're currently in and how are we going to deal with this. And so fast forward to implementation. Implementation is basically setting up your systems. We are very fortunate with our company that we have our systems pretty much in place. We have been, you know, we've got our KV core, we've got our CRM, we've got our other traditional ways that we market. We market through Core Fact, we market through postcard campaigns, things like that. We've continued to do that, but what we've done is we've added to our portfolio even more technology. And what I mean by that is with our company, they've rolled out additional training and virtual tours, more on Instagramming, more on Facebook, more on Pinterest, just more of technology so that we can pick and choose what areas we want to focus on. For us, one of our technology platforms that we've really been using is our auction platform. Before, we were using that as a online auction. However, what we did is we would have traditional open houses. But what we've done now is we've transitioned over to online open houses. So that's the difference, how we've changed our business. But in terms of prospecting and building our database, we're continuing to do the same thing. What we have been focusing on is for sale by owner and expireds. We are finding that the for sale by owner and the expired sellers are much more receptive to a phone call or a text message in these times because everyone's at home. So we have had a lot of success, you know, being able to reach them and for them to talk to us. So that's pretty cool, which is pretty unusual. So that's really shifted our business in terms of getting that relationship going with clients that we might not have normally been able to reach. Also, I think it's a good idea to have an accountability partner. So if you're kind of struggling with your implementation and you're struggling with setting up your systems, it's not a bad idea to reach out and have an accountability partner to help you with that. I've seen a lot of great things on Facebook. People are doing all kinds of live streaming webinars. Just yesterday, I saw an agent, Temecula agent. She has an accountability call. I think it's like every week on Wednesday mornings, I believe. Her name is Kim Meeker, and it's really awesome. She just has anyone join in, and everyone starts making phone calls to help each other stay on track. So that would be, I would say, for the implementation part. You know, we're not wired to be lead generators. It's just not part of our DNA. So we have to intellectually decide that we're going to lead generate. It's just not something that comes natural to anyone. So that's what I would say in terms of mindset, implementation, getting your head on straight, getting an accountability partner, and then execution. People might say, I don't have a database. Everyone has a database. Everyone has a phone, right? Everyone has a phone. So if you get out your phone and you look at your contacts, you scroll all the way to the bottom of your contact list, there's going to be a pound sign. That pound sign is going to show you how many contacts you have in your database right now today. Whether it's a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, a beautician, take the label off of that person and label them as human beings. They're all human beings that need that human connection right now. They need to hear from you. So be intentional. It's not about the business right now. It's about being intentional, and it's an opportunity for all of us to connect and add that human, sensitive, caring element. We all have that opportunity in front of us today, right now.
I love it, Sherry. I love it. You know, there's a thread that I'm starting to see that's going through all the conversation here. It's really people are wanting to connect, and it's just that you can't stop that fire that we all have in ourselves as human to want to be connected, whether it's this way or whether it's, you know, face to face, but you can't stop that. And it's what it sounds like what most of everyone's been saying today is we got to dial into that, and we've got to remember that that's really where it's at, and then bringing our heart forward with that, right? Not doing it in a mechanical kind of fake way, but really living it. And again, back to what Cale was saying is, you know, it's about finding those people that you can connect with, that will connect with you and you can connect with. So I really love that. Coming up on a few minutes left here, you know, looking at what's gone on this last month, is there something that you've grabbed onto, Sherry, that you said, you know what, this is really helping me maintain my momentum, you know, your momentum that you've already kind of described that you've had, but is there something that you've grabbed in the last 30 days that's kind of lifted that up to some degree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so glad you asked that question. It's a great question. I think within the last 30 days, we have really re-identified our why. Even though we've been in business for a long time, we've actually re-identified our why. And, we surround ourselves by the top people in the industry, the one percenters. That is who we aspire to be, and that is who we are connected with all the time. And so that's one part of it, is that we've been more focused than ever in that aspect of our business. And the other aspect of our business is, why not become the transitional expert? So when you're reaching out to your database of even people that you haven't talked to in maybe years,
Yeah.
or this is the first time you're reaching out to them, why not be that agent that is positioned so that they know you're there for when they are going through a transition in their life, whether it be when this market comes back and there's going to be short sales, there's going to be a lot of people that are behind in their payments, there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to be getting their jobs back. They're going to need someone. They're looking for people like us. Why not be that person? Why not become that transitional expert? So
Nice.
That's the way we are reshifting our focus.
Well said. Transitional expert. I'm not sure that I've heard that yet before, but I think that's something everyone can take away. That's a great nugget. I appreciate you sharing that. Transitional expert. Nice. All right, Sherry, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you being on this call. I know you guys are super busy, you and Ron, and I love you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
You bet. You bet. All right, Jarrod, I see you there. You want to unmute and say hi so we can hear you good?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me good?
All right. Jarrod, all right, man. Jarrod Whitehorn Realty, licensed since 2005. The shaker mover out in this area. So, Jarrod, we're really excited to hear what you got to say about these two questions we have here. And, once again, thank you for your time. Again, our key phrases here: organization, implementation, and execution. What are some tactics, Jarrod, that you're using, right now in this market and over this last month, things that you've seen that have really helped you organize, implement, and get some execution done?
Yeah. I will try to stay away a little bit from the specifics, because I think a lot of people know I gravitate towards sometimes a different niche in the industry, but I do think a lot of it's very applicable. What I found interesting about that principle, I was really looking back on your guys' thing, and I go, everybody's in a different spot in their career, and depending on where you are, that's actually inverted right there a little bit. In my opinion, if you're someone like Liz Jones and you've got it down, organization's key. There's only so many hours of Liz Jones that someone has access to, and she has got to maximize those hours. But I got to thinking back, it takes a while to get to those kinds of where that kind of wisdom becomes more helpful, because for a lot of us in the beginning, it wasn't, you were grasping for things to do. You were grasping for relevance in the industry, like was touched on, I think, by Sherry. Like, do I have contacts? Do I have people to call? Et cetera, et cetera. One thing I always like to tell people is, you do not need a Bowflex if you cannot do a push-up. You don't need the tools if you're not going to work out in the first place, right? So the way I like to go with that is, I actually think inverting your guys' thing there is the order that I would recommend, which is focus on executing something, right? Executing what you already have in the phone, executing on getting out there and being present in the industry. In my opinion, that is first and foremost. If you can't open a cell phone, it's been a while since minutes mattered, right? But back in the day, date myself, if I couldn't open my cell phone and see thousands of minutes, I wasn't really worried about how organized I was, because I wasn't working anyway, right? I got to have thousands of minutes on that phone. Then I got to worry about how I'm organizing those minutes, right? And so that was, I just wanted to kind of put that out there. The implementing, executing, then implementing that execution that you're doing, refining it. I found in life that as I went through, it didn't matter. Just two quick little things that are fun. I had a buddy who was going to do writing, and I was watching him do the writing process and writing books and stuff. And he just threw a bunch of junk on a page. I go, man, this looks terrible, man. You went to college, you're a professional writer, like you publish stuff. I go, this looks terrible. He goes, yeah, it doesn't matter, dude. You just write something And then watch, that sentence no good. I rearrange these words. I used to think people just sat down and wrote books. That's how I thought it worked. And I realized that no, people will sit down and write words, and then they go over that over and over and over again. And I go, wow, that's okay. I get it, you know? And then I was on a cruise with my wife, and we're like, oh, let's do the pottery thing. And they're just like, yeah, you just take the clay and you just kind of make something. That doesn't look like a vase at all. They're like, we're not done. You know, we're going to go over it, and we're going to go over it. We're going to over it. And as you shape that clay over and over and over again, now you're going to have a vase or a little bowl or whatever, you know, we wanted to make. And I go, oh, okay. So what I started realizing is it's not real estate. It's not for this. It's for everyone, everything. You need to start with just a lump of clay. You just throw it out there. You know, when I'm training and working with any of my employees, and they can tell you, I just make them dial. I don't know the script. I don't know what I'm saying. Great. It's a lump of clay. We're just going to start talking. You know how to talk, right? We can talk, and then we can refine. And so, you know, the execution, in my opinion, I've always been do it, then perfect it, perfect it, perfect it. Because if you're not going to do it anyway, I can't tell you the number of people I know. What'd you do today? Well, I cleaned my desk, and I organized my folders on my desktop, and I did this and I did that, and I'm ready to work tomorrow. Well, the guy who made one call and didn't organize anything is beating you right now. Right? So, I mean, organization can be dangerous if you're not already executing. Once you're executing and you're like, man, I called all day today and I wasn't happy with my results. Well, you need better tools. You need the CRMs. You need to make sure you're making the right calls in the right order. You know, you're there. So that was kind of, you know, I just wanted to kind of take it backwards because it seemed fun that way. And then pivot to the systems itself on the implementation. I had just real quick notes that I thought, the two most important things that I feel are a little bit different. It's got to be repeatable. I think everybody's heard that before. You come up with these great plans. Consistency, I think Cale talked about. If you can't repeat the system you're building, don't go and make utopian days, right? Don't go and pencil out how all this stuff is going to go perfect. And this is my system, because guess what? Yeah, I mean, we can all theory craft our perfect day. That's not gonna help you. Make a day that's repeatable. Make a system where you say, I can do this every Monday. I do it for the rest of my life, right? Because I consider myself largely just doing what I want to do every day anyway. So when I make a system, I just say, I can do this for the rest of my life. And if it's a repeatable system, then adopt it, right? But if you say, man, I could only see doing that for a week or a month, or man, I'd kill myself if I had to do that all the time. Don't use that system, right? That's a bad system, you know? So make sure it's repeatable. And I think more importantly in these times, make sure it is adaptable, right? If this is a system, I mean, okay, I mean, there's a little bit of an argument. You can strike when the iron's hot, and you can have a system that just works really well, and then it just falls apart when market winds of change. Okay, I mean, if you know that going in, I guess that's okay. But for me, I've been always a little more chameleon with everything. I like to make sure that whatever I'm doing can adapt to whatever I'm foreseeing, you know, in those winds of change. So, you know, wanted to just emphasize, you know, make sure that system that you're working, you know, is something that you say, okay, when this happens, how am I going to adapt to that? My investment partners always get really upset because in my investment agreements, there's one paragraph about how much money we're going to make if we're buying a home, flipping a home, selling a home, renting a home, whatever it is. You know, there's a paragraph. It says, look, we're going to buy it for this. We're going to rehab it for that. We're going to sell it for this. Real estate's not that complicated when it comes to that kind of side of it. So my point is, and then I have like 8 paragraphs about what are we going to do when it can't rent? What are we going to do when we get code enforced from the city? And what are we going to do when there's no permits on this weird thing? And what are we going to do? And they're like, dude, why this is a depressing agreement? Why is our partnership agreement like 9 paragraphs of all this doom and gloom and like 1 paragraph about us making money, right? And I emphasize, like, guys, your focus needs to be, right, on what happens when it doesn't go the way you want to do it. If you do a script, I can't tell you a number of people, they do phone. I think phone role playing is the best. If people aren't doing it in their office or with their friends, and especially if they're newer, even if you're not, I love phone role playing to this day. I just think it's great to try to just walk through. If I can't dial someone or it's 9:30 at night and worry about making somebody mad, I might call a friend and just phone role play a situation just so I can get a little more practice. But what doesn't help anybody is if it's like, oh, sir, would you think about selling your home? You know, it's all phone, your full role playing a FSBO. You know, you've considered all the benefits of an agent. No, I haven't. Please tell them to me, sir. right? If your friend's doing that to you, you're like, oh, here's why an agent's great. Excellent. How can I sign? Well, here's how DocuSign works. This is not what you're going to encounter on a FSBO call, right? You're not role playing anything. So if you know, I mean, it's what's fun is it's like, you'll have fun with that role play. Like, I can't talk to you right now. My cat just jumped in the stove. It's like, what? No, like, hold on, wait, I love cats. Let me make sure he's okay. Let's stay on the line together. Role play crazy stuff, right? That gets you through crazy conversations so that you know that you're adaptable, right? Because if you're just expecting a certain scripted response, in all of your conversation or even in life or investment or anything in your business, let's keep it to the on point here. If you're expecting a certain response from the real estate market in real estate business, that's going to be great for like now, right? I mean, think about a home inspection or an appraisal, right? What are the two fundamental principles there? The appraiser tells you this is what the house is worth, in my opinion. It's an opinion of value, but in my opinion today, right? And is that appraisal good 10 years from now or 10 years ago? It's not. It becomes very worthless very quickly. It is only good now, right? Home inspection is how the house was there, right? 3 days from now, AC breaks, right? You can't go back to a home inspector and be like, dude, you said the AC's fine, man. It's 3 days later, it's broken now. We all get it, right? So why do we think our real estate market? It's an ever-changing thing. So if everything you're planning on today, is going to change, then why have systems that become very rigid or not adaptable, So just, that was, as far as implementing systems, that was my recommendation, is just really try to focus on things that you could see as an adaptable system. So do I still got a little more time, Rich?
Yeah, we got about 3 minutes here, Jarrod. I mean, just to recap kind of what I'm hearing, I love that. Just start, right? I love that push-up analogy. That's great. I mean, there's no point in doing much more if you're not going to sit out and just do a couple, 10 reps of push-ups. I mean, and your fail fast forward. It was kind of what you're saying. It's like just to start, right? It doesn't matter really whether you have it, how figured out you have it, just get out there and start doing it, get that execution part down. And then, like you mentioned, sitting there tidying up your desk, or we have a term in our coaching circle called sharpening pencils, or sawing sawdust, right? Just you ain't doing really nothing. But I love that. And I love your point of customizing it, to you, right? Don't make this thing difficult, right? I think is what you're saying. Make it simple, something that you can execute on, right?
Yeah. And I did, I mean, this is the last thing I was going to throw out. Well, actually, let me end on a happy note. I had two things, but yeah, with a couple minutes, let me just kind of plant this seed. Because everybody who's talked to me during any time recently knows it's a kid in the candy store for me, because I'm so embracive of change. I love change. I love when things are different. I love figuring out puzzles. It's just a new puzzle. So, but think about it this way. If you're in this room and you've looked at stars and you've looked at top producers and you've looked at people really successful, and you've just felt, man, they started years ago. They've got these databases. They've got all this, this going on. Well, guess what? They've got to adapt. There is no better time for a rising star, right? There's no better time for someone to come out and prove themselves on the court outside of a giant rule change, right? Someone's coming in and they're going to change all the rules of the game. So everybody who mastered the game has to start playing by some different rules here pretty soon. So if you're coming out here, you should be super stoked, right? If you're learning and going through those things, right? The opportunity, is going to be, great for everybody who's coming out there. But so you'd think a lot of times in life, glass half empty, glass half full. What's the negative there? Well, does that mean that everybody who's on top, should be worried because now there's all this threats and this? You guys already won, right? Everybody who's killing it today, you played the last game and you killed everybody at it, right? So if you were good at the last game and then now here 2.0 of this game comes out, right? I mean, the only way, you didn't read the rules or what, right? You won the last game. Why aren't you going to win this game? So as far as I'm concerned, like, I don't know who's supposed to be worried about change, right? Because if you're coming up in the industry, you should be stoked that things are going to get shaken up. There's going to be some people who've been around forever and like, dude, I've seen 3, 4, 5 changes. I'm not going to go through this one. I'm done with this. Now's a good time to retire, right? So there is going to be that mentality. But I mean, it should be great for everybody coming up. It should be great for everyone who won last time. They should be able to just win again. So, I mean, it's just, that's the hopeful note I would add to this is like, whoever's worried about the change, I'd like to talk to them for a little while and figure out what that's founded in, because this change should be good for everybody who was excited to work, right? I guess the people who had their life on autopilot, I get a listing a month no matter what. I don't do anything for it. People just call me, and I'm not going to adapt, or I don't care about forbearances. I don't even know what that means. I guess those people might be worried if they just truly had their whole life on autopilot. But nobody who's doing that is logging into a Zoom call anyway. So nobody here falls in that category. So everybody here should be stoked. So,
man, that's well said. And, I appreciate that mindset. Jarrod, that's really what the other thread that's coming through here, right? Heart and mindset. Appreciate you, man. I know you give up some time to be with us, but you just dropped some really good wisdom.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
You betcha. Next up, we're gonna have Marianne Sharp talk about organization, and most of you probably know Marianne. She's a gem. And once I mentioned earlier, she kind of spearheads this entire thing that you're experiencing right now. Without her, I'm pretty safe to say it probably wouldn't move forward. So without any more chit chat from me, Marianne, why don't you pop on here and talk a little bit about organization?
Hey guys, thank you, Richie. No, we have a great team here. So just really quick, I wanted to tell you guys a great read is the 12-Week Year. If you haven't heard of that book, you should definitely check it out. It's the premise of, January 1st, we are all in the mindset of, I'm going to hit the gym and I have all these wonderful goals and I'm going to make them happen. And then, it tapers off. Instead of having one goal or many goals on January 1st and then letting them taper off and then starting next January, it's based on quarterly. So you would define maybe 3 different goals that you want to implement into your life and into your business. And then you start applying them. And then at the end of the quarter, you're going to review those goals and see how they're working for you. And if you're really working them, you'll know if they're paying off or if they're not. And if they are, you continue those on through the next quarter. If you don't feel like they are working for you, then you implement something new. And the reason I love this book so much is there's nothing better than adapting in the market as well at the same time. So with everything that changes, you will always be with the curve instead of, being reactive, you're being proactive. So definitely check out the 12-Week Year. I think it's a great book. The next thing I wanted to talk about is making your own schedule. I have been told by people, well, the miracle morning, you got to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, and everybody's schedule is different. So I do have a program that I can share with you guys, but it's all about defining what your day looks like realistically by filling in your time first, your family's time, and then seeing where your open gaps are that you can be the most driven in that time frame. So how many hours a day are we trying to keep up with things instead of sticking to our schedule and being, just super on top of like all of our goals and being even your own accountability partner. I definitely think accountability partners are great, but when you define what you would like to accomplish in a day and then the day gets away from you, more than anybody else if you met your goals or if you didn't. So I love this because it can fit anybody's time frame. If you have 40 hours a week to apply, if you have 25 hours a week to apply, or if you have 60 hours a week to apply to your business, it's really up to you to define that. So one thing I started doing in January was organizing everything that I use in business and in my personal life on a program called Trello. If anybody in here has heard of Trello, can you raise your hand? Okay. This is so awesome. It's free and it's online. So you can upload everything that you use in marketing, with your listing presentations, your buyer presentations, any frequently used flyers. If you have folders that you keep with everything for your clients, your goals, your personal life, everything to do with password keeping and what you want to do with travel, anything you want to do, it's on this hub and you can access it from your phone. You can access it from any computer, anywhere that you're at. And from a touch of a button, you can send something right to a client. So I love this program called Trello, and you literally start using it and you'll start thinking of a million other things you can use it for. So if you haven't checked out Trello, please, it's Trello.com. If you would like some tutorials, I have a class coming up next week and it's going to be Trello Part 2 for realtors. If not, reach out to me and I'm happy to go through it with you as well. And let's see. When we're talking about your database, databasing is so important. And I know sometimes we might lose touch with clients. They may have moved. you might not have current information. There is a way for you to look that up. As many of you know, I'm in title, and there's a lot of options or opportunities to look up. If you know where somebody lives, you know their name, you can fill in the gaps from there and make your database complete. There's also something called match and append, where you can reverse your database and get more information about the last time that they purchased. So this is just a great way to give you insight and to complete your database if you don't currently have one. As well as there are other tools out there for you to take a farm area and maximize who you want to talk to in that farm. So if you don't have current tools and you're not sure how to move forward with all the great information that was shared today, there are tools out there for you. And I want you to know that you can start today. Just like Cale was saying, start with your top 10 if you don't have 25. But definitely, if you feel like you don't know what to do next, there's so much available to you that you can get this ball going right away. And then the last thing I was just going to touch on again was that accountability partner. If you need that, it can be your friend, it can be somebody in the business. I love our community. Realtors in our community love to help each other be successful. So make sure that you're not selling yourself short by not liking that word accountability, because it is wonderful to have somebody to push you, to drive you, and keep that momentum. So thank you guys.
Great, Marianne, awesome stuff. So, hey guys, I'm super excited for the next 30 minutes. You're going to get to listen to Nate Bailey, Coach Nate Bailey. He's a natural leader, and he's a best-selling author of 3 books. He's also had successful insurance businesses, real estate businesses, and he really coaches and teaches on mindset. So as we're going to bring this whole thing together for the next 30 minutes with our panel, who just did an awesome job, and mindset was one of the big things that we talked about here, and accountability. So hey, there's Nate right there at the bottom, Coach Nate. And so just by way of introduction real quick, I mentioned the insurance businesses, and Coach Nate was a lieutenant in our Army, served over in Operation Iraqi Freedom. And Nate has a real simple philosophy for applying all this stuff. Just simply live what you teach. And so I personally have been coaching with Coach Nate for the last couple of years, and it has literally changed my life. And so the next 30 minutes are going to be powerful. I know he's going to drop some fire. So Coach Nate, I'm just going to give way to you. You're on, brother.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me?
We got you.
Yes, great. All right. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for having me. Been able to listen in for the last probably 20 minutes or so. And so, yeah, Richie asked me to come in. I was planning on being there in person to meet all of you. But of course, we are adapting just like we all have to in our lives and in our businesses currently. So here we are virtually. I love it. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to share my screen here real quick. Let me see if this is going to let me do that. No. Hey, anyway, you could, whoever has the capabilities, make Nate's whiteboard a host. Is that possible?
Yes, let me check that one.
Yeah. So while they're working on that, Nate also has a podcast you guys can all log into called Championship Leadership, and we're all done here. It's a great podcast. Brings a lot of good speakers on.
Yeah, make sure that you check out that Richie and Michelle Perez episode.
Oh, that's right. We are on there.
Not that long ago. Let's see here. Here we go. There. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to get into my whiteboard real quick, but everybody see it. Looks like it should be up. So today I want to talk about the path. In the path, really a lot of the things that you've been talking to and the different speakers have talked about are going to fall in line really well with this. And so the path is really a six-step system for results inside of your life. All right. And so, 6-7 weeks ago, however long it's been so far, life looked very differently. Yes. And just like almost the drop of a hat, things flipped and are very different. And so the path is something that we've been teaching for a very long time. It's something that I've been living, just like Richie said. Like, if I'm going to teach something, if I'm going to be the example, I want to make sure that I'm the highest standard of the example. I want to make sure that I'm living at the highest standard of what I'm going to teach and preach and talk about, really from the standpoint of just to be in integrity. There's a lot of people out there that will talk one game and be something different off stage than they are on stage. And so the path is something I've been living for a long time. And whenever life throws us a curveball like we just got with COVID-19, it's important for us to rerun the path so that you can have a intentional, detailed plan of how to get to the result that you want in your life. If you're right here, right now, at this level, and you want to get up to this place right here, wherever that is, whatever area that is, and of course, we're business-minded here today, so things have changed for you. The plan that you had 6 to 7 weeks ago, more than likely, isn't going to work. You're going to need to course correct and create a new plan. And so I would urge you to take this 6-step system. Very simple. We keep it simple because simple works. And the more simple it is, sometimes people think that if it works, if it's simple, then if I make it a little bit more complex, it'll work even better, right? Well, the problem is when we make things more complex, we just don't do it. And so it's important to realize that like simple works, especially if it's detailed, specific, intentional. You're not winging it. You're not being casual. But if you simply actually do the work, so you're going to take what we've gotten here today, I encourage you to get out your journal, get out Trello, get out your laptop, whatever, your Google Docs, Evernote, I don't care. Use whatever system you use, but make sure you get it out of your head and onto paper, or out of your head and onto a system or a platform that you like to use inside of your life, so that you can not wing it, get up every single day, know what your assignments are, know what your priorities are, know what the fundamentals are, right? I said that things have changed over the last 6 to 7 weeks ago. There are still basic fundamentals that you're going to continue to use inside of your life, yes, but the plan more than likely does look very different for you. We were going to be in person 6 to 7 weeks ago. Now we're here virtually. So we had to shift, we had to course correct. So the first step inside of the path, number one, is to, and please write these down, declare. And inside of declaring is the what and why. So what do you want? Very important. I don't know how many clients that I've talked to. Like Richie said, we have a coaching program. We deal with a lot of realtors and mortgage lenders across the country, as well as many other people from other industries, entrepreneurs and business owners. But you ask them this one simple question: what do you really want inside of your business? What do you really want inside of your marriage? What do you really want inside of your body and your fitness? And many times, because we all are busy, because we all are constantly going, because if you have kids, you got piano practice, karate, you're getting pulled in different directions. And sometimes you don't see, if you're married, your spouse until the last very end of the day. And then you wake up and you do it all over again. And so you don't take the time, create the time to get clear on what it is that you really want. A lot of times we know more about what we don't want in our life than we really do actually on what we want. So declare, the first step, very important. What do you want? And why does that matter? Like, the why is so important. We also will refer to this as your holy cause. Like, the why is going to drive you to do the things that you want, right? The outcomes and the results that you have. There are going to be many more days when you don't want to do it. I think it was Jarrod talking about picking up the phone or doing the role play or doing the things that are required, the fundamentals inside of being a realtor. And those that do the fundamentals and master the fundamentals and master the basics are the ones that thrive in any market, in any time, whether it's COVID or not, whether it's 2008 or not. It doesn't matter. Those that have a clear plan and a clear direction and have a deep-rooted, deep-seated, that's why we call it a holy cause of why, are the ones that are going to actually go and do what's required when they don't want to, because there's many more days when you don't want to do the things that are required. You don't feel like it. I'll do it tomorrow. We talked about surface confusion a little bit. We call it surface confusion. I'm just going to organize my desk. I'm going to sharpen the pencils. I'm going to create the logo. I'm going to do all the things that make me look busy, but don't really get anything done. So why matters. So we have something we call Y times 5. And sometimes you may actually have to go Y times 7 or Y times 8. So let me stop the share. I want to share my screen on the other side and I'm going to show you what it looks like. An example that I have of what I call the holy cause method. And this was for an event that I did called Kokoro. And I did the path. And as part of the path was, why is this so important to me? Kokoro was a 52-hour event that I did. No sleep, straight through physical experience led by Navy SEALs to give us a little taste of what it would be like to go through Hell Week. And so I had to have a deep-rooted why in order for me to do what's required to come prepared and also to not quit during the event. And so I went through this experience, this example, just like I'm asking you guys to do, and this is how you would do it. So why is it important that you create X in your life, right? If you're selling 5 homes a month and you want to get to 10, why is it so important that you sell or close 10 homes a month? And you would just go through, and I want you to write it out. The first was, for me, was to teach my children and set an example for them on how to live an attack life. So all I'm going to do, the Y times 5, is like, I'm going to ask myself, why is that so important? What's important about teaching and setting an example for my children on how to live? And so then I come down to number 2. We love to lie and give ourselves surface level answers because we don't always want to confront the truth. So it forces this method forces us to really dig and find the true reason why that's going to get us to do the work when we don't want to. And let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Sorry, guys. So I go down to, well, this is touchy. Here we go. 7 levels deep. So number 2 is to show them the importance of setting large goals and the work that is required to accomplish that. Still, it didn't hit me. You'll know when you hit it because it'll hit you right here and you'll be like, that's the reason why. That's what's going to drive me to do the work. And so that wasn't it for me. So number 3, why is that important? Because I realized the possibilities and pitfalls in life with or without big goals. Like, yeah, that sounds good, but it's still not there. That's still not it. So number 4, fear that I will wake up one day and realize that my kids are grown and I missed an opportunity to love, teach, guide, and be present in my children's life. That one's getting closer, get really close. Number 5, realize what truly matters in my life. What's more important than God and my family? The answer is nothing drives me more to succeed in all areas. And again, it sounds like a great answer, but it wasn't it. Number 6, knowing that I'm not too late and I'm excited to take advantage of the time I have to lead with my family. Well, why is that important? If I don't lead my family, someone else will. And that matters to me. That's going to get me up every single day to do what's required, to be the example for my children, to show them not only what it's like to set a big goal that matters to me, but to actually then go do what's required to get it, to accomplish it, to do the work required. Because I know that someone else, if I allow someone else to be the example, I don't get to choose who that is. And that thought really scares me. And so that's what I wanted to share with you, just to show you how I actually go through that Y times 5, because the why is so important. It might be the most important piece of what we're talking about here today inside of the 6 steps. So let me come back to my whiteboard here and we'll go into step number 2. All right, so number 2, after number 1 is declare. What do you want? Why does it matter? Y times 5, you might have to go 6, 7 levels deep. You might have to go 10 levels deep. Number 2 is to define. Write these down. Define what's required. The necessary required actions. We call them NRAs. What is required for me to accomplish step number 1? To accomplish the thing that I said that I wanted. If it's to go from 5 houses closed on a month to 10, what's required for me to make that leap? And as detailed and specific as possible. Let me repeat that. As detailed and specific as possible. as detailed and specific as possible. So instead of saying, I'm going to make 100 calls a week, cold calls a week, if that's part of what you would do, how are you going to make the calls? When are you going to make the calls? Is there anyone else that's going to make the calls? Are you going to role play? Are you going to have a script? Like, as detailed and specific as possible, because we don't want to leave anything to chance. If you leave things to chance inside of your life, if you're casual inside of your life, you're going to get casual results. So if you've been being casual, it's okay. Doesn't matter what we've done in the past. Make a decision today. You're going to run the path, and you're not going to be casual anymore. You're going to be detailed, specific, and intentional in your life so that you can get different results that really, truly matter to you, so that you can be the example to your family if that's what's important to you. So what is required? You're not going to leave any rock unturned. You're taking time in this simple system because most people don't, right? Most people aren't willing to take the hour that this might take to actually get out the journal and go to work and do the work. Like, if there's one thing that we have right now, more than we did 6 to 7 weeks ago and more than we have in the last how many decades, is time, right? We all have a little bit more time right now because businesses are shut down, businesses slowed down. We all have a little bit extra time, which gives us a little bit extra space to do the important work right now, which is to run the path, to do this work, to get it out of my head and onto paper so that I have a direction to go. So when you define what is required, like, list everything out as detailed and specific as possible. If you list something out, ask yourself, can I break that down even further? And break it down so that you have just a whole page of notes of every little thing that is required in order for you to be successful and accomplish what it is up here that you want, AKA the results that you say matter to you inside of your life. So that's step number 2. Step number 3, decide. Now this one might sound like, oh man, that's kind of easy. That's kind of a no-brainer, Nate. Like, what are you talking about? Decide. It's either a yes or a no, but this is a crucial step, just like all these steps are crucial. You've declared what you want and why it matters. You've gotten down to step number 2 and define, and you've listened everything out that's going to be required to go and get the result that you said that you wanted. Now, here's the time to put the pen down, to take a deep breath. Do I really want to do that? Am I really willing to do what's required? And don't just say yes because it sounds cool to say yes, but actually say yes if you're really willing to do what's required. And if you're not, it's okay. If you're a no, like, it's so important. It's so important to just accept the fact that you're not willing to do that. And then guess what we would do? We'll just come back up here to step number 1 and you'll just start over. And you'll refine what it is that you want now because you've gone through the second step of knowing what's required. You know that you're not willing to do that. So then you would just decide, you would adjust your outcome or your target. And then you're going to come back through and redefine what's required and then come back to number 3. Ultimately, at some point, you're going to be like, yep, I'm willing to do that. Yes, I've decided that's what I want. It surely matters to me. And I'm willing to do all of these things that I've listed out that are required. So this brings us to number 4, create. So when I say, like, what do I mean by create? Create yourself as someone that you could see that would be able to go out and do that thing. Because right now, you're declaring what you want, and it's not where you're currently at. And so a lot of people, we have these self-limiting beliefs. We have these stories that of like, who do you think you are, right? Who do you think you are to go and do that? You've sold 5 houses a month for the last 20 years. Who do you think you are to think that you could actually go and do 10 a month? And I'm just using that example because it seems to be one that's popping into my head. But whatever the thing is, right? It's natural to have those thoughts inside of our head. And so step number 4, after we decided, yep, I'm going to do this, I'm ready. like I'm ready to make this shift, is to ask yourself a different question. Instead of who do I think I am, who do I have to become? Write it down. Such a powerful, life-changing question. Who do I have? Sorry, I'm a lefty here, so I'm trying not to mess up the screen. To become. When I was in the Army, I was a platoon leader. I was an officer. I got orders to be deployed to Kuwait for a year, and I was being attached to a different company than the one that I was in. So I was being assigned to be the platoon leader for 42 men that I'd never met in my life. Kind of a scary thought. Like, oh, I'm going to be responsible for the lives and the safety and the mission of 42 men that I've never met in a foreign country, thousands and thousands of miles away from my home. And so I had to do some massive creation, like who do I have to become in order to show up with certainty so that these men, in my first impression with them, would actually look at me and be like, man, I'll follow that guy. Because I know that I only get one first impression, right? And if I screw it up, it's going to take a long time to recover from that. And I only have 15 months with these guys. So I start talking to myself, who do I have to become? I am a leader. I am a powerful leader. I am a powerful speaker. I am certain in who I am being. I'm the best platoon leader they've ever had. Like I'd start talking to myself in this positive way. And you can do that same thing by creating these statements. And I'm not going to go into depth on these. We call it conscious self-creation. And it's 3 parts. First is first person. So that's where the I statement. Second is positive frame. And again, write these down. Oop. Positive frame. So I am first person, positive frame. And the third one is blanking me. Richie, you help me out here, bro? Well, I'm having a brain fart right now. First person, positive frame. I'll get back to it. So
Yep.
The statements are, I am healthy and fit. I am an incredible father and husband. I am a $1 million producer, right? Oh, present tense. There it is, present tense. What's the third piece? Like it has already happened, right? So even though it isn't who you are currently right here, right now, you're going to create these statements about yourself that are going to positively tell you that you can do this, that you can be the person that's going to create the result that you set for yourself in step number 1. So first person, I am is present tense, positive frame. I am a powerful leader. I am healthy and fit. If you want to lose weight, you're not going to say, I'm not going to eat sugar, right? Because that is a negative frame. So all you're going to hear in your head is, I eat sugar. So I am positive frame, present tense, a powerful leader. I am the best realtor in my market. I am an incredible husband and father. You fill in the blank for yourself. You get to create these because they're yours, but you want to create yourself in a way that would see yourself as being able to become the person to accomplish the thing, the result from step number 1. So that's number 4, create. Number 5, commit. Are you committed? Like you're either committed or you're not. Do what's required. Do what you said you would. Act decisively in spite of thoughts, feelings, emotions, and moods. So there's a 3-tier definition. Number 1, do what is required. Number 2, do what you said you would do. Number 3, going to act decisively in spite of thoughts, feelings, emotions, and moods. You're committed or you're not. You're either a 10 or a 2, right? If your son or daughter were drowning in a lake and you were the only one there that could save them, you would be a 10. You would be committed to going and saving their lives, even if it was at the chance or the risk that you would die yourself saving them. Yes? Can you guys all agree to that? Like, you would do everything in your power to go and save your son or daughter if they were drowning. You would not be a 2. There's no such thing as a 2. Like, I'll go in about halfway to see if I can go and save my son or daughter until the chance where it gets a little risky for myself and I might die too. No, that's being a 2. Are you committed or are you not? You've declared what you want, why it matters. You've defined all the things that are required. You've decided, yep, I'm going to go do this. You've created yourself powerfully in a way that answers, like, who do I have to become? First person, positive frame, present tense. And now commit. Like, if you do what you say you're going to, if you do what's required from step number 2, you act decisively in spite of thoughts, feelings, emotions, and moods, there's no way you can fail. I ran 100 miles. In 2018, I committed to running 100 miles, and I was not an ultra runner before this. It's kind of coming off the couch. In March of 2018, I signed up for the race. In June, I gave myself like 3 months to train. I failed that first attempt. I made it 63 miles. I failed. So I signed up for another race because I said, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. I haven't been that person in my life my entire life. There've been too many times where I would fail at the first attempt, make it 63 miles, pat myself on the back and be like, man, that's pretty good. Like, you went 63 miles. And I had many people that told me that. They're like, oh, that's so awesome. I can't believe it. Like, you ran 63 miles. Like, that's way further than anyone else has ever gone, right? Like, that's so good. Like, don't feel bad. It's okay. I was like, no, I want to be a person of my word. I'm committing to what it is that I said that I was going to do, and that was to run 100 miles. And so I signed up for the second race in Cleveland, Ohio. I made it 75 and a 0.6 miles, and I couldn't go any further. Like, my body kind of just quit on me. And so I failed again, but I had made it further than I did the first time. And again, I was like, I committed to running 100 miles. And so I signed up for the Pony Express 100 in October. And I did it. I was successful because I did what was required. I put in the miles. I continued to, watch what I ate. I trained. I slept right. I recovered. When I failed, I signed up for the next race. I was like, I'm going to do what I said I would. I said I was going to run 100 miles. I'm going to do this. If it takes me 3 times or 100 times, it doesn't matter. I wish I would have done it on the first time. But I got back up. And I did what was required. There's many days I didn't feel like training. There's many days when I didn't feel like going for a run. There's many days when my body hurt and I felt like stopping short. But I continued to move because I was committed. I was a 10, not a 2, and I ran 100 miles. And so that same commitment is going to be required for you in your life, no matter what area we're talking about, to get the results that you want. To get something different than you currently have right now, you're going to have to do something different, right? You're going to have to do the work that's required every single day, no matter what. And then the last piece, which really just plays into that, is to complete. Complete. Like, stopping. Too many of you, just like me in life, you get 3/4 of the way, you get to the 5-yard line, as a football analogy, and you take a knee instead of running into the end zone. You get 3/4 of the way, just like I did on my first 100-mile attempt. And I'm like, hey, I made it 63 miles. Like, that's way better than most people. Most people are still sitting at home, like, just sitting on the couch eating potato chips, playing video games. Like, good job. You're still way further ahead than everybody else. So you're kind of like a 7, but you're like, yeah, but look at all these twos over here. To truly live the life that you want, like, complete. Become a person of your word. Do what you say you're going to. Do what you say you're going to the point when someone tells you, when you tell someone that you're going to go do something, like me, if I tell somebody I'm going to go run 100 miles before this happened, they're probably like, no way in hell this guy's going to go do that. he can't do that. Or he hasn't shown up to be like, he's told me he's going to do a bunch of things before now. And but he always gets like 3/4 of the way and he stops. So they might shake their head like, yeah, oh, that's cool, Nate. That's awesome. Good for you. In the back of their mind, they're like, no way. So how can you become the person that when you tell someone you're going to do it, that you're going to do something big, they already know in their mind that it's as good as done, because you've become a person of your word. When you tell someone you're going to do it, it is done. It's like they can take that check to the bank and cash it. So that's what I'm talking about by complete. Stopping. So again, real quick, and then I'm going to close this out with a story and hand it back over to you guys. So the path, declare, what is it that you want? Why does it matter? Holy cause method. Dig deep. 5 levels, 6 levels, 7 levels, 8 levels. It doesn't matter. Keep digging until it hits you here in the heart and you know that is it. That's the reason why that's going to drive you. Number 2, define. What is required? Leave no stone unturned. Number 3, decide. Is this something I'm willing to do? Yes or no? Number 4, create yourself, and who do I have to become in order to hit this result, to hit this outcome? Number 5, be a 10 out of 2. 10 out of 2. 3-tier, do what's required, do what you say you're going to do, act decisively in spite of thoughts, feelings, emotions, and moods. And lastly, number 6, complete. So here's the story I want to tell you guys as I wrap this up. So there were these two men. And these 2 men had very similar stories, very similar upbringings, right? Like they both had fathers that were extremely unavailable, were very abusive physically and mentally, alcoholic, very poor, grew up in very, very rough conditions. And the one man, he kind of continued the cycle. He was poor. He was unavailable and unattached. He was mentally and physically abusive to his children and to his spouse, divorced, poor, had nothing in his life. And when they asked him, like, why is your life like this? Like, he's like, well, how couldn't it be? Like, look at how I was raised. Look at the environment that I grew up in. Look at who my father was. Like, that's all I know. And so then we come over to this other man that had very similar circumstances and environment, same type of father, same, abuse and alcoholism, and very poor. And he grew up and actually became someone very different. He became the opposite, was an incredible father and husband, incredibly successful inside of his business and financially, and providing a much different experience and lifestyle for his family and for himself. And they asked him, like, man, you grew up in a very, very different environment. Just like the cards seem to be stacked against you. How did you do it? And he's like, how could I not? Like, look what I grew up in. There was no way that I was going to do that for myself. And he went and created a different life for him. And the irony is that these 2 men were actually brothers. We all are going through COVID-19 right now. And we all have a choice. Like, we can sit back and blame the pandemic and blame the COVID and blame our situation. And we can come out of this thing looking very, very dark and very dim, or you can have the choice to look at this as a blessing and be like, man, I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm going to continue to do what I know that I need to do. I'm going to show up differently. I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity, this environment, and I'm going to come out very differently. And so I just ask you, which one do you want to be, right? Which one are you willing to be? It's the choice is that it's a choice. So thank you very much for having me here today and allowing me to take some time. So I'll give it back to Richie.
Yeah, appreciate that, Coach Nate. And, I'll just one thing I'd say here is, like, we mentioned it before, but, Coach Nate Bailey really does live what he says. And I think that's what, for a lot of us, we gravitate towards that, right? We gravitate towards people who who are intentional, who do what they say they're going to do because it's powerful. And we see that power in them. And I think for all of us, that's the big thing. When we live our lives with intentionality and we literally do what we said we're going to do, is when we feel the most powerful in our lives and the most certain. And that, a lot of that's what it's about, right? We want power, we want certainty. That's what grounds us. That's what puts the wind in our sails as we move forward. And as we've all mentioned here on our panel was great, and I think everyone echoed the same thing. It's like moving forward regardless of what we're in, right? We got to move forward. So powerful. I think we're going to take some time now for our Marianne and Lisa. If there's any questions, you guys had questions for Coach Nate, where you can reach him, I put it in the chat here, NateBaileySpeaks.com and Championship Leadership Podcast are 2 platforms you can really catch some more. But I'm going to turn it over to the 2 ladies here to wrap this up and see what we got in our Q&A.
Hey guys, only one real question I saw stand out was actually for the panelists. It is what type of database you use, your CRM. I know Liz had said she used Brivity and that follow-up boss was great. But Cale, Sherry, or Jarrod, do you guys?
I'm using, this is Cale. I'm going to turn on my video again. I'm using Trello mostly. And then what Trello doesn't do, to be clear, is it does not set up text templates or mass email templates. So I am using other things like BombBomb, for example, to supplement the stuff that Trello doesn't do. But for me, it's about workflow. And with Trello, I can on the go add in a comment really quick without having to go like 5 layers deep into a CRM. And it seamlessly integrates with the the cloud version on my computer. So for me, I like Trello. I just use something else to get out my blast emails, blast text messaging. But Trello is awesome. I mean, in Trello, I can add photos, I can add documents, I can add an audio note, so I can actually speak into the phone and it'll save a recording of my voice. So if I'm on the go and I just want to say, hey, just talk to Matt. He said that he is getting an award settlement in 30 days and I need to follow up with him at that time. I can just hit that quick voice note into Trello as I'm doing whatever I'm doing and then sort it out later. So I really like Trello and it's free.
Yes, I love Trello. And you can email something from your email directly into your Trello board and it keeps everything there.
Yeah, agreed.
This is Sherry. I use KV Core. KV Core is a very robust CRM, and basically it's the brains of our business. We run everything out of KV Core. We generate leads and they automatically go into our database in KV Core. We generate leads through KV Core on Facebook, Craigslist, all the different social media platforms. Everything is generated from the KV Core platform. When a lead drops into KV Core, they're automatically set up on drip campaigns. We don't have to do anything. You can also mass text message your database. You can create your own templates in there, and then you can start to mass text message, or you can obviously do individual messaging. It has algorithms in it so that when a client is looking at a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a certain zip code, in a certain price range, they start to automatically get properties that are coming up on the market or maybe price changes. So they're automatically getting emails with notifications. And then it also has a phone app. So we can actually communicate with our clients on the go with the KV Core app. We can text message. We can do all the things that we do on our desktop. So it's really a robust system, KV Core.
Thank you. Is that KV as in Victor or B as in boy?
KV as in Victor Core, CORE.
Thank you. And Jarrod, do you have anything you suggest?
Yeah, well, suggest or what I use. I use Salesforce, which I could quickly endorse or not endorse as saying that it should probably be the last CRM that somebody uses. and never be the first CRM that somebody uses. It's a highly complex CRM that can do anything in the world and will do nothing for you easily. So it's one of those things that, as an example, just one neat trick. The reason why I'm on it is because it allows me to custom program like web scraping, for example. So if any real estate agent thought they were clever and like, well, I'm going to list this on my website 2 hours before I put it on the MLS, too bad. If I have your website, my CRM is scraping it. And if it sees something that, is thrown up on there that didn't go through IDX, then I'm aware of it. You see them, so whether you put it on the MLS or not. And things like that, or even Craigslist posts is another example. If it can scrape Craigslist, I can have custom, scripts that will scrape all that. And so instead of clicking through a bunch of random stuff on Craigslist all day, which we all know could take a while if you're going to try to find somebody there off market, now there's just something that can kind of custom do that. But like I said, all of that will come with probably about a 5-figure implementation tag to it. So until you're in a position where you want to spend $5,000 or $10,000 implementing fancy technology, you are far better off on anything else. But then when you get to the level, like I talked about doing it backwards, when you're just execute on something, that is user friendly and is going to get you started right away. But when you start having to sit around and think about like getting every single dollar out of every single minute, I would recommend some of these large publicly traded CRMs that can do some very neat and trick technology out there. So.
Perfect. Thank you. I don't see any other questions in the chat box that haven't already been answered. Is there anyone that wants to unmute themselves or drop a question real quick before we wrap up? Okay. All right, Richie, if you want to close out.
Yeah. Just want to, you know what, as usual, just thanking everybody for being out here. We do have another event coming up. Marianne, remind me of that. Is that next Wednesday or next Thursday?
It's Wednesday at 12:30.
And we're going to have a lender panel on and talking about, lending in this current state and all that stuff as well, correct?
Yeah, so it's going to be some really important information. It's not about the companies as much as it's about what's happening in the market right now with all the forbearances and how it's really affecting people. There's a lot of news out there that we read or hear, but we are getting it firsthand from our local lenders, and they're going to let us know exactly what's happening with people as well as how it's affecting their credit. So that's Wednesday at 12:30. I'm just double checking the date.
Yeah, I didn't have a flyer here. Sorry, Marianne. I know you got it locked in your head.
Yeah, it's the 29th. So we'll be sending you guys out a recap email talking about this event and having the link to this video to replay. And there will also be a link in there for you to sign up for our event on next Wednesday at 12:30.
Yeah, and if we found, I think we'll throw down a little information regarding Coach Nate. It looks like he jumped off the call. He thought we were actually done, so he didn't stick around for questions, but maybe we can throw a link in there to log on to his website or something like that in case you guys got more questions for him. It'd be great. Again, I can't say enough about being around somebody who really, truly lives out the life that they tell others to live. It's an amazing thing.
Could I make a quick announcement?
Yeah.
Can I make a quick announcement? Okay. On this Saturday at 9 a.m., one of our mentors is going to be having a webinar, and it's his money mentor, and his name is Dave Steck. And what they're going to be talking about is an urgent update about the state of the union in terms of real estate. And so they're going to be talking about volatility equals opportunity. And this particular gentleman, Dave Steck, he's an investor, and he heads up 7 offices, and he has 3 investment funds that he owns, about 1,000 investments, and they haven't had one single loss. And so if you're interested in that webinar, it's at 9 a.m. And you can contact me. I can send you an email with the information. But it's going to be very, very enlightening. So they're going to be talking about, what we can do in terms of investors and in terms of how we can react to the market as realtors. The gentleman, Dave Steck, he went to London School of Economics and also Harvard University. So hit me up if you're interested in attending that.
Cool. I think that's going to be a wrap, right? So we got the info on the next one coming out. Everyone's got that. If not, we're pretty easy to get a hold of. And again, you know, we as a real estate power team at Temecula can't say enough appreciation for all of you guys that get on this call and take some time out of your busy day. I mean, I know, you know, an hour and whatever, hour and a half that we go, it's important in your times. You know, we consider it extremely valuable and appreciate you joining in with us to bring value to the real estate market in our community. So thank you guys. And Mary Ann, any last parting words?
Nope, just reiterating that the recap will include the link to the video. I've had a few questions about that. So
There
yeah.
we go. We're right on time, 10:44.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Power Team.
Thank you.
Great job, guys.
All right.